we've been talking about superheroes for a while, but I have my own example of vigilante justice from last weekend.
Oh, yes!
Yeah.
All right, everybody stand up straight. Get your collar on. Pop it. Taylor's got a story.
Yeah, so last weekend, me and my dad and my stepmom were driving down to meet up with a bunch of people, mostly family, for the Mizzou tailgate. It was one of the first tailgates, and we were all going there. And so it was supposed to be a fun day. My dad wakes me, or I get over there, and I sleep the whole way in the car until we get to the parking garage. And we quickly realize, as we're 6 levels up in this parking garage, like, shit, this place might be entirely full. And then we started seeing those cars come back around and pass us, and we're like, fuck, we're screwed. We're going to have to try and find somewhere else in the city. And then as we're taking one of those turns, we look straight ahead, and we see a tall, lanky college student and a recycling bin with like those 4 circles that you can put plastic cups and stuff into. And he was just standing right in the middle of a spot. And my dad stopped, like we're probably 30 feet from him. And my dad goes, is that just a regular spot? Like, Taylor, is that just a normal spot? And I kind of like looked around. I'm like, yeah, that's just a normal spot. And he goes, well, get out and move that kid. And I was like, okay. And so I opened the door in the back and I lean out and I'm like, hey, is that a handicap spot? Like, I was trying to be polite as a way of saying, like, hey, we're clearly interested in being in this spot that you're just standing in because you're disobeying the conduct of society right now. And he goes, no, it's not a handicapped. And I was like, oh, okay, we're going to park there. And he goes, I can't, I'm saving it. And I'm like, no, that's not how this works. And my dad said, he goes, Taylor, go move that kid in that trash can. And so I got out of the car. This guy's probably 3 inches taller than me, 4 inches taller than me, but very lean. I'm twice as broad as him. And I walk over to him and I'm like, dude, we're taking this spot. Like, that's the way this is going to go. It's going to happen. You can't just reserve spots like this. And he's like, I'm a pledge at a fraternity. I'm going to be in so much trouble if they don't let me save this spot. Please just don't take this spot. And I'm like, dude, I don't care. I don't fucking care. And I started dragging away the recycling bin away out of the spot. And he grabbed the other side of it and like gave it a little tug. And I quickly was like, no. And I put it over to the side. And he's still standing there. And I'm like, dude, please move. We're going to park here. Like, that's the way it's going to go. And he's like, oh, I bet you feel like you're a big guy right now, bullying someone who's, a freshman in college. And I'm like, dude, I don't want to be doing this. I don't want this to happen. I don't want to be in this position. This is uncomfortable as shit. There are people, mind you, this is before a giant football game in an SEC school, so we are not alone in this parking garage. Lots of people walking around as this is happening. And the guy, I give him like a very gentle like push of the arm, not a shove, just like trying to usher him out like a crowd out of the way to let my dad pull in safely. And he bucks up and he gets all, I'm not moving. You're this is ridiculous. I'm going to be in so much trouble. He kept yelling that. I'm going to be in so much trouble if you take the spot for me. I have to reserve it for my frat. And I was like, no, you don't get to just reserve spots in public places. That's not how this works. And so I bear grabbed the guy around him and I pulled him to the side of the spot. And I thought that was enough because then my dad started inching forward and I was like, okay, the kid knows that he's been beaten. And so I let him go and he sprints back into the spot right up against my dad's bumper as my dad's like 2 feet into this spot. And he's standing there not letting my dad pull in all the way. And I was like, dude, come on. Like, I don't want to have to do this. You are making me do this right now. Like, you can't just reserve spots like this. And so I went over, I picked him up again as he struggled minimally, not a very strong gentleman, and I carried him over and then just held him for the next 6 seconds or so as my dad finished pulling in. And then I let him go, of course, because I don't actually want to be doing this. And he turns around at me and he's all, oh, I bet you feel like a big man. Bet you feel like a big man holding me while you take the spot. I'm like, no, dude, like, I just am here for a football game. Like, I don't want any of this. This is so uncomfortable. Do you not see how many fucking people are looking at us? And my dad and my stepmom are still getting out of the car. And he goes, yeah, well, I'm real glad I know where you parked. And then I had like a public like freak out on the guy to the point that I could tell it was like when a dad yells at a kid how scared he was, where like it was resonating through the parking garage. And I'm like, did you just fucking threaten me? Did you just threaten my property in this parking garage? Are you fucking kidding me? What fraternity are you in? What's your name? And he's like, dude, settle down, dude. Like, I'm not gonna do anything to your car. I'm not gonna do anything to your car, I promise. I'm like, oh, after you threaten me, do I need to make sure you go down there and stay away from this car? And my dad got out and he walks up and he goes, click, click. He goes, all right, now I know who to talk about if anything happens to this car. And then took a picture of the guy. And then I just grabbed the cooler and left. And that was it. It was
that's vigilante justice, I would say. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I hate that. I didn't know that was a real thing. I've seen that, like, YouTube videos of that, of like those people who do that, who try to stand in a parking space. It's not like a seat at the movie theater. You can't do that. These are for vehicles.
Dude, and it's rude to on a busy day just say, oh, I'm going to save this parking spot. I can just save this like it's a seat at the movies or a restaurant. Like, no, dude, that's not how society works. You don't just get to save parking spots for your friend, your drunk idiot frat boy friend to show up later. If I have to carry you away, that's the way it's going to be. But we're getting this spot.
Do you think you would have freaked out on him as much if it weren't for your cycle that you're on? Do you think that you got a little bit of roid rage? Maybe. Maybe.
That could be it. I so roided up when my dad said, hey, get that guy out of the spot. I just thought, oh, this is what we play for.
Either subscribe, donate, or get the fuck out.